Good afternoon, Musketeers. It's February 8th, 2019. I'm Marta Berglund.
And I'm Nick Walker. This is Xavier News.
From the Xavier University Television Studio, this is Xavier News. Your campus, your region, your world. This is Xavier News.
President Donald Trump delivered his second State of the Union address on Tuesday. After being delayed 1 week due to the longest government shutdown in the nation's history, Trump delivered the speech in front of Vice President Mike Pence, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and representatives from both parties. In his speech, Trump outlined why he thinks it is necessary to build a wall on the southern border. He also spoke to the current state of the economy and congratulated female workers and representatives on the increase of women in the workplace. He jabbed at Democratic investigators calling for the end of partisan investigations. He said that they, along with the foolish wars, are the only things which can stop the economic miracle happening in the United States.
Miles Seameyer, a guest writer for the Xavier Newswire, talks about how the Jesuits changed who he was and how he grew significantly from them. He says Jesuits have been some of the worst on sexual abuse by priests. However, he also says that these priests have always stood by our side and been mentors and educators for everyone to grow on. With all the talk that goes around sexual abuse, he asks the question, quote, why did the Jesuits only decide to release the names now? End quote. They hoped, while talking about their past life, it would heal the damage that was done. However, more is needed to fix the issue. Seameyer encourages the campus to look into the Jesuit community and think about what it means to call our home.
The conversation of banning nicotine on campus has returned. A proposed change to university policy, if approved, would mean Xavier will become a smoke, tobacco, and nicotine-free campus by the start of next semester. The policy would prohibit the use, sale, or distribution of all tobacco products and nicotine delivery systems, including vaporizers and Juul devices, on all property leased or owned by Xavier. With the administration approval, the proposal would take place on July 1st, affecting students the upcoming fall semester and following. The proposal comes from Chief Student Affairs Officer Dr. Dave Johnson, Dean of Students Jean Griffin, and Associate Vice President for Human Resources Connie Perm. They introduced the proposal to senators on SGA in a January 28 meeting. The latest push for Xavier to be a smoke-free campus was in the fall of 2016. It did not gain enough traction to get approved and was met by student pushback.
Opening this weekend, the Xavier Theater Department will be showing their performance of the original star-crushed lovers in Romeo and Juliet, starring Elliot Conniff as Romeo and Kat Schultz as Juliet. The classic Shakespeare play follows two teens from feuding families whose forbidden love sparks tragic results. Students can purchase tickets online or at the box office for $13, while standard adult admission is $18.
Police say the Pony Keg employee who was shot and killed a robber at the West Price Hill business on January 23rd will not face charges. Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters made the announcement Thursday, calling her actions clearly justified. James Douglas was robbing the Glenway Pony Keg and had threatened to kill the employee throughout the incident, said Dieters. Douglas didn't chamber a round, so when he tried to shoot the woman, it did not fire. She pulled a gun out of her belt and shot Douglas twice, hitting him in the chest. Dieters said even after he was shot, Douglas continued to wrestle with the woman and punched her. He eventually collapsed at the door, where he died.
The Cincinnati weather has been unlike most. One day the weather turns to snow and 20 degrees, as the next is sunny and 65 degrees. But with the significant amount of rain that has come, water rescue teams have been busy. The Great Miami River has been flooding, causing significant damage near the local area. Local water rescue team Sheriff Randall Lambert states, quote, drives around periodically just looking at the river, looking at the different waterways that are prone to flooding, end quote. Lambert warns all those that see water covered to get away from them and be safe drivers for the upcoming weekend.
All right, that's all from the news desk, people.
We'll be right back with Lucas Robbins and the Xavier Sports Report.
Good afternoon, Musketeers. Welcome back for another edition of Xavier Sports. I'm Lucas Robbins, and let's begin with the elephant in the room, the Xavier men's basketball team. Remember the rough times I talked about last week for them? Well, we are still living in those times, as last week versus Creighton showed that this team still has a long way to go. The game got out of hand early with a 15-8 start for Creighton and never seemed to get much better. The Musketeers were able to cut the lead down to as much as 5 points, but couldn't sustain their momentum and ended the game with a 54-76 loss. This was a blowout loss where Xavier was dominated by a non-ranked team and there were hardly any moments of competitive play. Losing to this Creighton team by 22 points was devastating, as this looks like a team without an identity, a leader, and without any depth. While there are bright spots and talented players on this roster with Tyreek Jones and Hanky McSpanky down low, Q, Najee, and Scruggs on the outside, this team is only playing with 7 players in the rotation and is looking tired and worn down towards the end of games. First-year head coach Travis Steele said after the game that, quote, "Failure reveals who you are as a person," end quote. Well, hopefully these revelations after a 5-game losing streak are able to serve this team well, as Xavier needs to make the necessary adjustments to build into a winning team again. Next up for the Musketeers is a home matchup versus the DePaul Blue Demons tomorrow at 8 p.m. Now, the Xavier track and field team is about to take place in the Musical City Challenge in Nashville, hosted by Vanderbilt in a little under 2 hours from now, competing against 28 other schools for their final regular season race of the season. The Musketeers are hoping for similar success to their last meet, the Akron Invitational, where 13 top 10 finishers were achieved for the team. The race to look forward to during this meet is the 5,000-meter run, where on the men's race, Thomas Gardner and John Houts both got top 9 finishes in Akron, and on the women's race, Anna Costarellis, Maya Hannigan, and Jennifer Priol all finished in the top 7 of runners. After tonight and tomorrow's meet, Xavier will compete in the Big East Championship February 22nd and 23rd in Geneva, Ohio. Best of luck to all of our runners on their end of the season. And that'll do it for another episode of Xavier Sports. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's go X.
This is Xavier News.